a hospital, which confirmed 5 of the dead were patients, all of them in critical condition before the tornado hit.
Let's get you out to America's Radio Newsline. Standing by is John Abraham. He's a physicist at the University of St. Thomas School of Engineering in Minnesota. Mr. Abraham, welcome to America's Radio News.
Welcome.
Well, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. And just a bit of a correction. I'm not a physicist. I'm a thermal sciences professor, but it's pretty close. So thanks so much.
All right. We stand corrected. Thermal science. Now, what is the difference? Tell me about that first off.
Well, I study heat and fluids. So I study how energy moves around the environment. And then when energy gets into the environment, I study what happens.
Nice.
All right. And that's related to some of this discussion we've had on climate change recently.
Yeah, and these storms that have ravaged the Midwest, first off, the study of climate and weather in particular has advanced over the last couple of years. Any major breakthroughs as to the discovery as to why these storms form and why the varying degree of power?
Yeah, there have been a number of advancements in technologies. And, you know, I don't want to bore people by going through the details, but what we should all know is that scientists know we are causing global warming, and we know that global warming is causing an increase in this extreme weather. Now, some things we're really, really clear on, like more droughts and more flooding, more thunderstorm, more heavy rains. That stuff is very, very clear. Some things are less clear. So a specific tornado we can't necessarily attribute to global warming. The verdict is still out on that. So some things are really clear, some things we're working on.
Explain the science a bit more to us about why we are in particular changing the weather.
Well, we're adding carbon to the atmosphere, and that carbon is causing the atmosphere to warm. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're sitting there in a hot summer day and you feel the humidity in the air, and you want to compare that humidity to a cool winter day, which one feels more humid?
The hot day?
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. So as we're heating up the planet, as we're heating up the atmosphere, we're adding more moisture to the air. We're adding more rainfall. And what happens is the rain is coming in bigger bursts, which are causing severe thunderstorms and flooding.
All right. So, Mr. Abraham, let's go through this step by step. You've alluded that CO2 is the main culprit here. Now, we all know that's a greenhouse gas. Of the greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, which one is the most plentiful?
Well, I'm so glad that you admitted that CO2 is a greenhouse gas, because there's many people I'm sure in your listening audience, which wouldn't concede that.
Sure.
But CO2 is the most powerful human...
No, actually, my question was, which one in our atmosphere is the most plentiful of the greenhouse gases?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that. Water vapor is the most important and most powerful greenhouse gas, but it's naturally occurring. CO2 is the most important human-emitted greenhouse gas.
Right. Okay. So now, of the CO2 that's out there, of the greenhouse gases, how much of that CO2 is actually man-made that's in the atmosphere?
Great question. Because if only a small amount was man-made, who would care? Well, it turns out almost 40% of it's man-made. And that's why we're so concerned about what we're doing to the atmosphere. We're concerned about how much carbon we're adding.
Well, some of the research that I've done, sir, suggests that the amount of carbon that man is contributing to the overall carbon, which is, by the way, is a fraction of the gases that are in our atmosphere, are infinitesimal compared to, I was alluding to, water vapor or some of the other more prominent gases
Chris,
in our atmosphere, like nitrogen.
Hold on a second. You just said research you've done.
Yes, sir.
There is no scientist that I know of that would say the human contribution of CO2 is infinitesimal. In fact, we know for two reasons why humans have emitted almost 40%. First, we know how much fossil fuel we're burning, and we can match that to the amount of carbon in the atmosphere. Secondly, the carbon that human emits has a different flavor than naturally occurring carbon. It has a different isotope. So to say that humans are emitting an infinitesimal amount is factually inaccurate and demonstrably false.
And about the reports that are out there that say that the Earth's oceans are able to absorb at least 50% of the man-made carbon that's put into the air right now?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, Chris, you're right. We're lucky the planet can take up about half of what we emit, and we hope the planet continues to do that. But just because the oceans and the biosphere are helping us doesn't mean that we don't have a job, a role to play in cleaning up our atmosphere. But you know what? This isn't all doom and gloom. There's some good news here. I mean, the fact is we know we're causing global warming, but we also know what the solutions are, and we can implement these solutions right now with today's technology. And guess what? we're going to save money. We're going to create jobs. We're going to improve national security. Chris, do you want to send our sons and daughters to fight for oil in Iraq? I don't. I would like to produce our energy in the farm fields of the United States. I'd like to produce our energy with wind power and solar power derived right here in the U.S. And guess what? As we diversify our energy portfolio, we become more secure. Who can be against that?
I have a question for you. Do you take any funding for your climate work?
I don't take a single cent. In fact, I'm actually volunteering my time to help NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, improve their temperature monitoring so that we can better understand how much heat's going into the ocean. So I don't take a single cent.
All right, we got to reintroduce our guest here. His name's John Abraham. He is a thermal science professor, I got it right that time, at the University of St. Thomas School of Engineering in Minnesota. So now you had stated the fact that we know that man is causing global warming. But in fact, sir, as far as science is concerned, is that not a theory but not a proof?
Well,
I'm talking scientifically now.
Now, hold on a second. Hold on.
No, I'm just asking you the question.
Chris, I understand what you're saying. You're using the word theory in a way scientists don't use the word theory. If you drop your microphone, it's going to fall to the ground. That's the theory of gravity. In science, the theory means something that's testable and reproducible. So we know humans are causing the Earth to warm for a variety of reasons. You know, you make this climate science out like a deck of cards, where if you pull away one piece of evidence, everything collapses. No, we have multiple pieces of evidence. It's like a crime, okay? Let's say you're watching a crime show and you see someone walking down a hallway on a video camera with a gun in their hand, and a doorway is broken open, their fingerprints are on the doorway, a dead body's found in the apartment with a bullet matching the gun, and blood's found in the perpetrator's car. Now, that evidence all tells a complete story. Now, the perpetrator may say, hey, man, you didn't see me pull the trigger, you can't prove it. But that's not the standard of evidence we use when we make decisions.
Well, let me approach this a different way. John, let me approach this a different way.
Yeah, sure.
In a hydrogen atom, how many electrons and protons does a hydrogen atom have?
What is how?
No. I'm going to get to this.
It's got a proton and an electron.
That's right. That is a provable scientific fact, which is provable and demonstrable. What I'm trying to get at here is that you have a man-made global warming theory, which some scientists around the world have a contention against. They are theories. Nothing has been proven one way or the other. Is that not
true?
Is that not true?
Chris,
proof.
Chris, you're making it up as you go along. Look, tests back in the 1800s proved that carbon dioxide absorbs heat. In fact, you mentioned some of these contrarian or denialist scientists. Even they would agree that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. In fact, you even said it in your opening remarks to this segment. So we know carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. We know increases will cause the Earth to increase. And guess what? The Earth's temperature has been observed to increase. So you've got to have
following actually the Earth's temperature increase actually followed CO2 levels, not the other way around.
No, Chris, hold on a second. You're trying to confuse the issue.
Not at all, sir. I'm just saying there's varying degrees out there. And by the way, we're up against the clock here, John. But there are varying degrees of science out there. And I'm just saying the difference between scientifically talking now between a proof and between a theory is verifiable. And John, I'm up against the clock, as I said. Mr. Abraham, thermal science professor at the University of St. Thomas School of Engineering in Minnesota. This is not going away. We're going to have you back on to talk more about this. All right, sir. Have a great day. Coming up on America's Radio News, the IRS staff committed tax credit fraud. We'll tell you about that.
And round two, more storms expected in the tornado-ravaged Midwest.